Did you ever feel that something ain't right socially? You can't truly and deeply connect with people anymore. The reason is that you have plenty of layers. Layers are those weird personality quirks that you developed to compensate for an imaginary deficiency. You do not want people to see the real you, so you act in a way to cover it up. People can easily feel that something is wrong with you and will be completely repulsed and annoyed by you. As we speak, I am working on the most comprehensive book on layers ever written, and you can already pre-order it. But before that, I want to bring the awareness on how layers are completely ruining your social life. Layers make learning impossible, because if you learn on top of layers, you will misinterpret the lessons. You have to unlearn. Layers will always wrap around new information. You will be unable to look at anything objectively. Instead, you will view it through your layered view and try to maintain your fake persona at all costs. All the lessons presenting themselves to you will be glazed over, and you will walk in circles forever. Another thing that is worth noting: if someone like me challenges your layers, you may create another set of layers to cover it up. Instead of letting go of your weird compensating attitude, you will strengthen it. People like this are lost causes and never come back to reality. Now let's see how it usually starts. If you are not getting the results you wanted out of your social life, you probably went online to try to find the answers. There you found a selection of micro-celebrities, influencers, or even streamers who are taking advantage of the naivety of young men. They quickly sold you a bunch of tips and tricks, little behaviors to help you solve your problems temporarily. Now you probably went out, tested them, and it seemed to work. Your little tactic made a girl laugh, or maybe some mid-girl was even impressed by it. But did it lead to a deep connection, to a wholesome relationship? Of course not. Regardless, because you are inexperienced, you decided to apply that behavior with every girl you met since then. This is why you will see some guy talking to a girl and doing some weird shit, and you cannot comprehend why he is doing it. Even if his game was good, that one thing ruins it. You start to understand now. You are hiding behind layers, unnatural personality traits. They will maybe take you 20% of the way with some girls, which is always better than the 0% you got before. But it still doesn't take you all the way. It is your gatekeeper. Now it's time to go back to your favorite guru to get another tactic that might bring you to 25%. All of that while they are printing money, without even fixing the root cause. There is no winning in that paradigm. You need to remove all your layers and start from scratch. Now let's see how to identify your layers. Some layers are harder to identify than others, but typically you can tell someone has layers when they behave differently in different settings. While it might be normal to behave differently in some settings, a person with layers will have a fluctuating identity. If you ever feel that you are putting on a show, that you need to perform in social situations, then you have layers. If positive reinforcement affects your mood, you have layers. If rejection affects your mood, you also have layers. People with no layers are completely unaffected, living in their own world. Let me give you 8 concrete examples of common layers manifesting. 1. Gesture maxing, needing constant attention from people when you are not getting it. You start gesture maxing, for example, trying to be funny or provocative out of nowhere, for no other reason than getting attention. 2. Psyopsing people. If you have a layer you are trying to hide behind, you will likely start trying to spread it onto others. Why? Because you can feel that this behavior is strange and you are scared to let go of it. So you want other people around you to behave in the same way. to feel more normal. Literally, trying to convince others first so you can convince yourself. 3. Not embracing who you truly are. People who were cool in high school during their teenage years will typically have little to no layers. They know and are content with who they are. They are not constantly searching for validation. They don't need it. They had enough of it. Now they are just getting the things they want out of life. Success, however they define it. What you see is what you get. 4. Trying to be funny all the time. This is a common layer guys develop around talking to women. They use humor to get a girl to love. But because of that, they are unable to truly connect with them. Entertaining someone is not the same as creating a story, a relationship. It is fake. 5. Caring too much about your reputation. Thinking that status will get you women is a common misconception. Sure, you will get the high exposure but by snobbing everyone and acting high status, you will never be able to connect with the low exposure girls. You know those girls that you actually want to attract into your life for long-term, fulfilling relationships. They cannot relate with that status stuff, and by acting that way, you will just end up alienating them. 6. Acting mysterious. Thinking that you cannot be normal and freely express yourself around people. Acting like you are James Bond. Always being quiet, waiting for people to speak to you before you speak to them. This is another common layer guys have adopted from watching cringe influencers. Now let me tell you something. You are not being perceived as James Bond by others, bratan. They just think you are either shy or autistic. 7. Muscles and MMA. This is what guys usually resort to when they cannot get any girls. They think that by becoming more dominant, stronger, they will be able to connect with those girls. But meanwhile, the same girls will still prefer dating a skinny kid who knows how to talk to them instead. You will actually attract a lot of men by doing this and circle jerk about your workouts, becoming more and more distant from the low exposure girls who usually enjoy simple, cute and innocent things. There is an endless list of those guys. I call them the warrior class. And all are an attempt to climb the social ladder. But they are climbing the wrong ladder, the one that leads to bad girls and ultimately a dating life. 8. Mr. I like bad girls. That is literally something a girl would say. I like bad boys. You are literally the male equivalent of a if you like bad girl, and a good girl will want nothing to do with you. The list goes on. And there are many layers specific to you, which are so subtle that you can spend your whole life without even noticing them. It requires a trained eye to pinpoint. So how do you remove those layers? First, stop trying to teach others. Stay silent for some time. The first step to removing your layers is to literally shut the up for 6 to 18 months. Stop trying to influence the people around you, because you are just trying to spread your layers onto them so the world makes more sense to you. Refraining from this will help you to loosen up your layers instead of reinforcing them. And second, stop watching any kind of self-improvement content. The last thing a guy with layers needs is to try to better himself by adding even more layers. Self-improvement content is going to solidify those layers and add new ones. It will keep you thinking that you need to add things in order to succeed, when in reality it's the complete opposite. You need to remove things. This brings me to an important announcement. All I see online is content that is adding layers on men, misleading them, making their situation worse and worse each day. Therefore, I want to announce that I am going to release my first book in the coming weeks. Layers. Unnatural personality traits that make you unbearable. The last book you will ever need before starting your transformative journey. An in-depth guide on how to identify and remove those layers that are making you completely unbearable. You will understand where they come from, how they affect your life, and see much more examples of layers. You will have to face your demons, but in the end, it will be worth it. Pre-ordering the book today is the best investment you can possibly make for your future self to create or recreate a fruitful social life on your terms.